All right, I'm Ross O'Brien with the Economist Corporate Network in Hong Kong. We've just wrapped up On Demand, Rising Asia and Rising Digital Expectations in Asia. I'm here with two of our panelists, Alex from EdgeCast Networks and Kapil from Microsoft. Thanks again for joining us today. Now, Alex, we spent a lot of time in the luncheon talking about the inevitability of the Asian digital century. What are some of the factors in your mind that are defining that for global technology companies?
So what's interesting about the entire infrastructure is the vast growth of telecom, of IP transit, of cloud-based services, of data center infrastructure, of CDNs to really enable and lay the framework to enable massive amounts of companies to be able to do very interesting applications, social media, and enterprise-level applications online. So I think what is exciting is that a lot of local companies have taken initiatives and built very successful applications online. And if you marry the resources and the initiatives and the innovation that these companies have taken, you're going to create a lot of success and a lot of growth in Asia.
Now, what is there a secret sauce? I know it's many things, but what do you think are the most important drivers for the success within the Asian context?
In terms of what is really needed is a constant set of various activities, from investment to innovation to adoption of these things, and all of which are happening and all of which are growing, which really is exciting.
Now, from an enterprise technology decision maker's point of view, how different is the digital landscape in Asia than it is, say, at headquarters? I'm thinking from the perspective of an Asian CIO of a global technology company. What are some of the different pressure points that he or she is dealing with than they would elsewhere?
So I think given the fact that the digital technology world is now suddenly getting so many more consumers in Asia, one of the things that CIOs here are dealing with is the fact you have so many more people in your organization and growing. Right? So company years they're planning for tripling their workforce in the next 5 years. As that happens, what does this phenomenon do to their technology landscape? Consumerization of IT, we talked about that in terms of saying people want to carry the same devices out of work as at work, and they expect now the employers to provide the technology platform.
Right.
So those are the kind of things that CIOs are continuously wrestling with today.
And what is the pace of change? Is this an ongoing thing? Are we seeing critical inflection in the next 5 years, 10 years?
It's a good question. I think what we're seeing is the pace has definitely increased in the last 3 years, which tells you that the critical mass of crossing the chasm, as you call, should be sooner rather than what we had anticipated earlier. So people are embracing and adopting the fact that they have to become device agnostic.
Right.
Much faster than what we thought about it.
We spoke about Asia and the rise of digital Asia in somewhat inevitable terms. Asia's growth is shifting. Here, the global economy is becoming very Asia-centric. Does that necessarily mean that Asia's digital ecosystem will grow in global importance as well?
Absolutely. In fact, if you take the economic importance of Asia, the digital importance and expression of that is perhaps 3 or 4 times faster and greater ultimately in terms of users, in terms of cash flows, in terms of revenues. It's a function of a triple whammy. Number one, you've got only 35% penetration of internet use in China, for example. That's reflected today. Secondly, Asia's internet users are more advanced than their counterparts in the West. In the West, internet users got online in a Web 1.0 and then gradually matured. And still remember the legacy ways they used to use them. In Asia, people are getting online today into a Web 2.x environment, and their intensity of use of social platforms, mobile internet technology leapfrogging are more intensive as their Western counterparts. Plus, you have an environment where the offline environments are less developed in terms of brands, in terms of commerce, in terms of advertising, in terms of which means that the online piece is positioned to take a greater share of the total online-offline
Right.
than in the Western nations.
So there's an acceleration given that there aren't alternatives.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Now, Bill, when you look out on this landscape, what sort of time frame? I mean, obviously, the future is always now in Asia, but are you seeing this inflection point hitting now and for the next 5 years, 10 years? What's your immediate horizon?
Well, I think you're going to see pockets. I think you're going to see bumps kind of on different spots. I think actually this year the fascinating thing is that we've seen a lot of cloud adoption, a lot of movement into Southeast Asia. Okay, so the last, if you looked at the last 5-6 months, that part of the world has actually done very, very well. China's continuing to do well. And India's, you think about the two engines, or three engines in Japan there, which we often forget about. But Japan, India, and China, those three are still driving very fast. But if you look down below those three economies to the next 11, those guys have had a fabulous sort of 18-month run, and people aren't really noticing. And in terms of new technology adoption, I'm seeing even more coming into some of those spots than I'm actually seeing in places like India and China.
Right.
And we many times just focus on that part of the world. And I think right now what I'm seeing is a huge opportunity in different parts.
Right. Now, we talked a little bit about the risks to this rosy outlook in Asia, and I think the general consensus was that the risks lie elsewhere in the global, in a weakened global environment. How substantial do you think a global slowdown will put a drag on Asia's trajectory?
I think we've got 3 to 4 years of sort of the West working out its problems. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got scars there that have to be sort of, we got to get new growth coming over those scars, and that's going to take some time. And so that will have effects on different pockets in Asia. The reality is we will feel we're not decoupled as much as we think we are. We're semi-decoupled at this point, and I think that you'll still see the growth. You've got youth out here, you've got consumer spending, you've got industry that's actually trading within itself, okay, which is very different than 20 years ago, right? So that industry and that trading block now itself is an ecosystem, right? Which didn't exist. So the good part is that that's going to continue and that will sustain growth. So I think that you'll see, even though the global economy slows down, this part of the world will naturally have to continue to accelerate. I think we will see that, and we'll see it play through in the technology. Okay? You'll see it in, there'll be more handsets, so more people will come online, and part of it is just youth, the momentum of youth, right? Which is having young people educated in this part of the world is going to change the world, and that's, you've got an aging population elsewhere. The youth up against age. This is where commerce is going to be conducted over the next 30 years.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm very bullish, but there'll be moments where it's it looks pretty dark outside.
Right. And Ravi, where do you think where do you think things could get dark for Asia's TMT outlook?
I think the positive dynamic is that there's a secular change going on. The way people use technology in their daily lives. The fundamental human needs like connectivity, learning about their environment, or spending an increasing share of discretionary income as well. I think the hiccups along the way may come around regulation, around macro concepts. They may come around some more natural dynamics. I think there's certainly an inevitability to an incredible inflection growth curve for Asia. The question is, there might be a couple of blips from those areas along the way, followed by aggressive mean reversion.
Great, excellent. Aggressive mean reversion, good place to land on. I'm Ross Bryan, the Economist Corporate Network in Hong Kong, with Ravi, Bill. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you, Ross.